Every day for the next 30 days, you're going to be able to find me right here. And I don't mean right here sitting in my dirty old shop, but right here on the channel, taking you along on a bunch of adventures and projects that I've been cooking up. Welcome to 30 days of Rambling and Wrenching. On day one of Rambling and Wrenching, I thought it would be fun to kick it off, keep it kind of chill, and show you guys the #1 hack-in tool I have found to organizing hardware in my shop and to being able to determine what types of threads and bolts and stuff I would need for existing projects. And in big part, it has to do with this little kit from Agogo. They're not a sponsor or anything like that, just a really cool tool I found, and I'll show you the system and everything I've devised to do it. Now, at this point, you might be asking yourself, two questions. One, Zach, how did you end up with so much hardware? And two, why are you wearing a white jumpsuit? First off, this isn't a jumpsuit. These are coveralls, and they're for professionals. I thought it would be really cool to wear something for all 30 of these videos that just kind of like keeps a record, kind of an artifact that I can have at the end of like how rowdy we get with this thing. Not sure how well these are going to hold up once we start getting into engines and cart maintenance stuff, but it should be a good time either way. If you want to be a part of these coveralls, you can head over to my Patreon, and I have some really cool options over there. I got more about that at the end of the video. So my collection of hardware started back when I was like 8 or 10 with bicycles. And when I was a kid, I learned really quickly that bicycles were awesome because not only were they a beautiful means of transportation for getting around the city in Las Vegas where I lived, but I could also work on them, I could fix them. And really when I was a kid, you could find a lot of bike stuff just in people's trash cans. And so you could get free parts all the time. But what I found is that some of those parts were a little hard to come by, so I started collecting what later I termed as money parts. And what I meant by money parts were just parts that were hard to find, screws, barrel adjusters, things that you were breaking or that you might need, hardware to attach racks that the bike may not have. Things like that are why I started collecting, and that's kind of like what this whole thing is here. It was all just bicycle money parts. Now, as I started to get into cars and motorcycles as I got older, and then home renovations, and all the other different things that I've gotten into over the years, I took that same philosophy and I applied it to my hardware. So when I go to the hardware store to buy a bolt or a screw or a nut or whatever it may be, I always buy at least 2 extra. And it's usually just right around 2 extra. I usually don't buy a ton more than that unless I notice that I'm using it a lot. And as I'm working on projects and I'm taking stuff apart, or as I buy something to put it together, there's always a couple extra screws or whatever in that, I always save those things. And I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and it's created quite the issue. So after all of the years of collecting, this is definitely a big mess because I'm showing you guys about halfway into this. I thought this was a good place to kick off though. I was storing nuts and bolts in things like this, or like in that little bicycle container that I was showing you. And then I tried to start using things like this, but the problem is that I was just putting things away and I didn't really have any rhyme or reason of like what it was or what it wasn't. So I started this. I'm going to show you guys this whole system that I cooked up in big thanks because I finally broke down and figured out about that. The issue that I was running into wasn't that I had a bunch of hardware, because honestly it's been a lifesaver, especially because I'm prone to doing midnight projects and I always need some random screw or bolt or nut or whatever it may be. But the issue ended up being that I had all of this stuff and I had no way of organizing it. I didn't know what I had, and even when I sort of organized it over the years, it'd be like, okay, cool, here's like long screws, short screws, locking nuts, non-locking nuts, and I'd still have to go through that different arrangement to try to find what I was looking for. Sometimes I'd find it, sometimes I wouldn't, and a lot of times I'd waste a lot of time looking. So that got me thinking a couple years ago. I was like, okay, cool, at the hardware store, which by the way, if you're looking for a good place to get this type of hardware, or if you want to buy onesie twosies, Ace Hardware every day, all day, at least in the Western United States, it is the best place to go and get hardware. Ace, if you're watching this, you can sponsor this video anytime you want. But that being said, I was like, yeah, when you go to the hardware store, you know, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, whatever it is, they've always got the boards, right? And so it's like, oh, cool, yeah, like it would be cool to get a board where I could try out the nuts and bolts, and then I could figure out what I had, and then I could kind of organize things. And I tried to buy a board in person a couple of times. I looked online, at least at the time that I was looking, they were like crazy expensive. And I was like, dude, there's no way. You know, like that's just too expensive. And then I started running into some issues with some projects that I was working on, some car projects I was working on at the time, where there were a bunch of missing accessories on the front of the engine, and I had no idea like what the thread was for those different ones. So now what I was doing is I was going through boxes of nuts and bolts that were who knows what size, guessing at the width and diameter of things, and then trying it out in holes that I had no idea what their size was. And it was more than infuriating. So finally one night I was just fed up with it, and I went searching around the internet, and you know, all hail Papa Bezos. I was on Amazon, and that's when I came across this little I think it's like a go-go. I have no idea how to say it, but it's this really cool thread checking kit. And the thing that's really cool about it is not only is it have a place for your nuts and your bolts. So let me show you here. So you got a place for the nuts on this side, you got a place for the bolts on this side, and all of them are nicely marked, and they're marked in the package as well. But you also had something that wasn't the stiff board. So I could take these and I can take them on the front of an engine, or I can take them over to a motorcycle, or I can take them to a bicycle, and I can screw them in, and I will know exactly what thread and what pitch I'm looking to do for that given project. And the cool thing is that these things, I mean, you can see this big old bolt right here, these things get massive. Like, look how much bigger this thing goes up, and then also it goes down to real tiny. This is an M2. So like really, really tiny, which is super rad. So with finding basically the perfect tool for the job that I needed, and I'm so excited about it, then I had to come up with a system to try to get all of this crap organized. Let me show you what I figured out. All right, so here's what I did. The first thing that I did is I went by type. So I started breaking everything out by type. So I had like random hardwares, screws, hose clamps, things of that nature. Then of course I had all of my nuts, I had my washers. I kind of had these are like body panel, like interior screw stuff for different types of like old cars and stuff like that. And then I broke out all of my other types of screws. This is also kind of body stuff on cars. Small stuff, like I said, I've done some organizing. And then like kind of big fat boys, long big fat boys, smaller skinny boys, like, right? Just kind of put everything in type. And then I've got a little measuring tape out right here. So what I do is I will grab something and I'll be like, okay, cool, it's in the type. So I'll measure it out, and then I'll go over to my handy dandy little deal here, and I'll be like, okay, cool, like what is this? I mean, is it quarter 20? Obviously I did this two-handed usually. So see, that feels pretty good. That could be quarter 20. Is it quarter 28? Could be quarter 28. I'd need two hands to verify. Nope, quarter 28 for sure. Okay. So then I would screw it in, and then I would know exactly how long this was and what the thread pitch was on it. And then what I did is I've got one of these. I actually have a couple of these. And this is just the one that I'm working through right now. And then I would start putting things away. So these are all 1.5 inch plus 5/16 by 18 thread. So now I know exactly what's in that every single time. And luckily, the 3M, they were selling these blue duct tapes near the blue painter's tape at Home Depot for a while. So I think I have like 4 rolls of this stuff because I was trying to buy painter's tape and not paying attention. But it works really great because I can take a Sharpie, I can mark on it, and then now what I have, that one doesn't want to open, but now what I have is I have these organized by kind of length, and I have them organized by thread pitch as well. It is a pretty glorious system. It makes me pretty stoked. I also had a bunch of electronic stuff, and so you can see here, this has already kind of been gone through. But yeah, like all these electrical connectors. And this is just stuff that's collected over all of the years. I don't really need this much, especially not that much electrical stuff. But now I know I have it, and I can do something with it. So I'm really, really proud of my little system here. And that is the system that I've cooked up for fixing a huge problem that I've had for a lot of years. And a lot of it is because of this little go thread system. Highly recommend it. Again, they're not a sponsor or anything, just highly recommend it. One thing that I will note about that is that the pieces in it are aluminum. So if you're looking to force things, or if you're looking to try to re-thread things in other threads, that is not the kit for you. But if you're looking to just figure out what thread things are, absolutely perfect kit. Now, the system that I've cooked up here, it's not particularly pretty, it's not particularly technical, it doesn't have AI integration, but it gets the job done. And I think to myself, why didn't I solve this problem years ago? Why didn't I think about this a long time ago? And the fact of the matter is I have thought about it a ton. I've thought about this problem over and over and over again. I've looked at Pinterest, I've looked at YouTube, I've looked at all these ideas, but they all seem so big, they all seem so polished, they all seem so hard to obtain. And that's one reason that I'm running these videos for the next 30 days, because I think a lot of us fall into that trap. We are looking through this window constantly, literally a window in our hand constantly, and seeing things that just aren't real, things that are perfect, things that are augmented, things that are set up a certain way for us to see them a certain way. And the fact of the matter is, that's just not how life works. And I have a huge backlog of projects and things like that that have just been tied up, I think, in some of that mentality. So over the next 30 days, I hope that you're gonna be able to learn something. I hope that you're gonna be able to get some tips and tricks. But the big thing is I hope that you're gonna see real things. I hope that you're gonna see the mistakes. I hope that you're gonna see the not polish. I hope that you're gonna see kind of the quick and dirty way that things just have to get done sometimes because of time or budget. And that's what we're going to be looking at here. It should be a lot of fun. And if you want to help fuel this insanity, which I would absolutely love, I've got a link down in the description to the Patreon, and I'll show you a couple little options that we have over there. So there's a $5 option there called the Wild One. And that will get you a wild penny. These are made out of pennies. I hammer them out myself, so I punch that name in, $5 a month, and that will get you a wild penny. And I don't know if you're not from the United States, they just discontinued the penny. I literally just learned this when I try to go get pennies. So I've got some pennies, but not a lot. So if you want one of those, probably a good time to go over there and snag it. Along with that, for $10, you will get a wild penny, and you will get what I'm calling the patch. Now, the number on this patch is not the number that will be on your patch. This is my number, and nobody else will have this number, I guarantee it. And this number is really important, has a lot of significance. I'm not going to tell you what the number is. I want you to go over to Patreon and read it. I want you to go check it out, and I want you to tell me what you think about it. Just leave a comment in this video. It might be a little weird. I tested it with a couple buddies. We all like the idea, and basically, you know, the clock's ticking, so you got to get living. So head over there, check out the patch. And then there is a $20 option, which is insane, but I would be so very grateful. And you get the penny, you get the patch, and you will also get a sponsorship spot on the old coveralls. And so the way that'll work, you don't need a brand or anything. I'll write your name, I'll write a saying, I'll do a little logo. Got to be family friendly, and maybe we can fill this thing up, maybe we can't. Even if only one of you do it, you're going to get a big old spot right here on the arm to start with. So as we get people supporting on that level, I'll draw them on, and we'll make these coveralls an even cooler artifact at the end of this thing. But either way, I always appreciate you checking things out, and even though it's a little ominous to say right now because it is late and I still have to edit this thing and get it ready for you, we'll see you tomorrow.